Welcome to today's presentation. So, what exactly is a fund of funds? Well, it's essentially a fund that invests in other funds rather than directly in stocks, bonds, or other securities. Think of it as a way to diversify your investments across a variety of different funds, which can help spread out risk. The main idea here is to leverage the expertise of multiple fund managers, giving investors access to a broader range of strategies and asset classes through a single investment. This concept ties into our overall theme of diversification and risk management, showing how a fund of funds can be a useful tool for building a balanced and resilient portfolio. Fund of funds, hiainos FoFs, ekenos, casenos, tarahenos, caenos, mutualenos, pundenos, herinos, yahenos, seedhenos, stockenos, bondenos, iainos, dustenos, bajarenos, caenos, sadnainos, maenos, nahienos, cutaenos, bulkienos. Hiascaenos, camenos, herenos, kilenos, apcaenos, paseanos, coenos, dusteanos, mutualenos, pundoinos, caenos, potopolioinos, maenos, dalnaenos, issaenos, akenos, multi-layered diversified investment strategy, buntienos, herenos. Hiahenos diversification, yanienos, vividtainos, oligoligenos, pundenos, darnitioinos, maenos, nevationos, cutneanos, caenos, mocaenos, datainos, herenos, issaenos, coenos, beatarenos, taticaenos, seanos manage, kiainos, suctainos, herenos. Tainos, yedienos, apenos, chahateanos, herenos, kilenos, apcaenos, nevationos broad market, maenos, peleanos, audenos, satenos, herenos, cumenos, ptayasenos, maenos diversification, hoinos, audenos, apcaenos professional fund managers, caenos, samutanenos, pienos, mileanos. Tainos FoFs, akenos, bohutenos, hienos, akershikenos, viculpenos, hoinos, suctaenos, herenos. Chulienos, ubenos, takeaways, putenos, chudchainos, cutteanos, heanos fund of funds, yani, nos FoFs. Essaenos, mutualenos, pundenos, hoteanos, herenos, jainos, seedheanos, shearsenos, cadidneanos, caenos, bajayenos, unyenos, mutualenos, puntsenos, maenos, nevationos, cuteanos, herenos, issaenos, nevashcoinos, coenos, asanienos, audenos, swachalatenos, vividtainos, miltienos, herenos. Hienos, puntsenos, caenos, tarahenos, caenos, hoteanos, herenos, jesseanos, galdenos, globalenos, asatenos, allocationanos, audenos ETF, adhatatenos, puntsenos, hudenos, akenos, caenos, upnaenos, castenos, udacianos, audenos, labhenos, hotaenos, herenos. Shuduatienos, audenos, choteanos, nevashcoinos, caenos, lirenos, yaenos, bohutenos, upyuctenos, viculpenos, herenos, kiainos, kilenos, yaenos, peshevadenos, ptabuntanenos, caenos, sathenos, asatenos, exapogedenos, pienos, ptadanenos, cutteanos, herenos. Audenos, yaenos, subenos, asanianos, seanos, onlineanos, exasenos, kiainos, suctainos, herenos. Satenos, herenos sip, viculpenos, pienos, opalubtenos, herenos, tainos, yedienos, apenos, didcacalacanos, upneanos, nevationos, coenos, majbutenos, chahateanos, herenos. Tainos FoFs, apcaenos, lirenos, akenos, smatenos, viculpenos, hoinos, suctaenos, herenos. So, who should consider investing in a fund of funds? Well, this type of investment is generally suitable for investors who are looking for diversification across multiple fund managers and strategies. If you're someone who wants to spread out your risk but prefers to leave the detailed selection to the experts, a fund of funds can be a good fit. It's also ideal for investors who may not have the time or expertise to analyze and pick individual funds themselves. By investing in a fund of funds, you're essentially gaining access to a broader range of investments managed by professionals. However, it's important to remember that this approach might come with higher fees, so it's best suited for investors who understand and are comfortable with that. Overall, fund of funds are a strategic choice for those seeking professional management, diversification, and a more hands-off investment experience. This aligns with our overall theme of making informed and strategic investment decisions. He agenos, he kienos, he chudchainos, he maenos, he hamenos, he neveshkoinos, he kaenos, he badeanos, he maenos, he batenos, he kadegaenos. He joinos, he naenos, he hainos, he yainos, he pahlienos, he barenos, he neveshenos, he karenos, he dahenos, he hainos, he yaenos, he logenos, he esienos, he yodnainos, he kienos, he talashenos, he maenos, he hainos, he joinos, he benaenos, he kisienos, he padeshanianos, he kaenos, he onkainos, he potapolianos, he bunainos, he sakeanos. He iskeanos, he alavaenos, he yedienos, he apkienos, he pugienos, he simetaenos, he herinos, he orenos, he apenos, he mutualenos, he kienos, he vyapakenos, he stenioinos, he labhenos, he chahateanos, he herinos, he toinos, he yahenos, he vaculpenos, he apkeanos, he lienos, he hienos, he herinos. He logenos, he pundenos, he kaenos, he chayanenos, he kutneanos, he yainos, he padasampatienos, he kienos, he gahrienos, he jankadienos, he nahienos, he ducteanos, he onkeanos, he lienos, he bhienos, he yahenos, he bahutenos, he hienos, he sovidhajanakenos, he hainos. He didgakalakenos, he neveshakanos, he bhienos, he isenos, he vaculpenos, he kaenos, he opyagenos, he karenos, he sakteanos, he herinos, he sameanos, he kaenos, he sathenos, he didedhideanos, he upneanos, he dunnenos, he koenos, he bur hanaenos, he chahateanos, he herinos. He odenos, he untenos, he maenos, he yedienos, he apenos, he jatalenos, he kaggienos, he cardavaenos, he seanos, he buchnaenos, he chahatenos, he herinos, he odenos, he entadtashtienos, he bajadoenos, he maenos, he bhienos, he neveshenos, he kutnaenos, he chahateanos, he herinos, he toenos, he yahenos, he vaculpenos, he apkeanos, he lienos, he hidenos, he herinos. He inenos, he subhienos, he bidwaenos, he kaenos, he mucienos, he udeshaenos, he herinos, he kirinos, he apenos, he benaenos, he kisienos, he katenaenos, he kaenos, he upneanos, he neveshenos, he koinos, he asanenos, he odenos, he prabhavienos, he bunaenos, he sakeanos. He odenos, he yahenos, he pudienos, he tatahenos, he seanos, he apkeanos, he vitienos, he luxioenos, he kaenos, he anotupenos, he hoinos. Let's talk about categorization. This is a crucial step because it helps us organize and make sense of complex information. When we categorize, we're essentially grouping similar items or concepts together based on shared characteristics. This process allows us to identify patterns and relationships that might not be immediately obvious. By doing so, we can better understand the structure of the data or ideas we're working with, which in turn makes analysis more manageable and meaningful. It's also important to highlight that effective categorization supports the overall goal of our project, whether that's improving understanding, enhancing decision-making, or streamlining processes. So, in essence, categorization is about creating a clear framework that guides us through the information, making it easier to interpret and apply in real-world scenarios. This step is fundamental in transforming raw data into actionable insights, aligning perfectly with our broader theme of making informed, strategic choices. Fund of funds, he koenos, he onkeanos, he internihitenos, he neveshoenos, he kaenos, he adhadenos, he parenos, he vibhinnaenos, he stenioenos, he maenos, he vidgiktitenos, he kiainos, he jataenos, he herenos, he subseanos, he pahaleanos, he hamenos, he batenos, he kutteanos, he herenos, he esatenos, he allocationenos, he kienos. He yanienos, he kirenos, he kisenos, he tarenos, he seanos, he innenos, he upneanos, he neveshenos, he kaenos, he vitidarenos, he kutteanos, he herenos, he ismeanos, he hamenos, he dekenos, he sakteanos, he herenos, he kirenos, he puntsenos, he meanos, he ikvichianos, he datenos, he orenos, he kaenos, he mishtarenos, he hotaenos, he herenos. He joinos, he kirenos, he vividtaenos, he laneanos, he kaenos, he tatikaenos, he herenos, he pitaenos. He internationalenos, he stanianos, he maenos, he yaenos, he punsenos, he vidatianos, he pundoenos, he maenos, he nevationos, he cuteanos, he herenos. He yanienos, he kirenos, he intatastianos, he bajadoenos, he maenos, he upnaenos, he pesaenos, he legateanos, he herenos, he iscaenos, he alavaenos, etf yadhataenos, he punsenos, he hoteanos, he herenos, he joinos, he exagetedaenos, he pundoenos, he maenos, he nevationos, he cuteanos, he herenos. He yanienos, he kirenos, he veanos, he stocanos, he exagegenos, he parenos, he tedanos, he hoteanos, he herenos, he odanos, he incianos, he liquiditianos, he bohutanos, he adhicanos, he hotianos, he herenos. He iscaenos, he alavaenos, he inanos, he stanioenos, he caenos, he bahadenos, he pidenos, he cuchenos, he casenos, he punsenos, he hoteanos, he herenos, he jesseanos, he seagullstatagianos, he punsenos, he joinos, he kirenos, he cavalenos, he akenos, he hidenos, he darnitianos, he parenos, he hoteanos, he herenos, he jesseanos, he ienos, he yaenos, he gdothenos, he pidenos. He sectorvishishtanos, he punsenos, he hoteanos, he herenos, he joinos, he kisianos, he akenos, he castenos, he sectorenos, he maenos, he nevationos, he cuteanos, he herenos, he manenos, he legianos, he bekigenos, he parmainos, he yaenos, he aetianos, he odenos, he untenos, he maenos, he multimenagedanos, he punsenos, he hoteanos, he herenos. He jinmeanos, he kaienos, he ptabuntanenos, he timanos, he milicadenos, he nevationos, he caenos, he niraenos, he latianos, he herenos. He inanos, he satienos, he stanioenos, he caenos, he sumajnaenos, he bohutanos, he jatudianos, he herenos, he kyakianos, he yahenos, he humeanos, he yahenos, he decataenos, he herenos, he kirinos funda funds, he caenos, he nevationos, he caseanos, he vividtaenos, he lataenos, he herenos. He coenos, he suntalitaenos, he cutaenos, he henos, he odenos, he hamadeanos, he nevationos, he caenos, he luxioenos, he caenos, he anotupenos, he hotaenos, he herenos, he yahenos, he humeanos, he behatadenos, he tadicaenos, he seanos, he sumajnaenos, he maenos, he mudadenos, he cutaenos, he henos, he kirinos, he humenos, he upnaenos, he nevationos, he coenos, he kisenos, he tatahenos. He seanos, he yodnabudhenos, he cudaenos, he suctaenos, he herenos. He ubaenos, he humenos, he batenos, he cadegaenos, he investimatenos, he stagianos, he odenos, he asatenos, he classenos, he caenos, he adhadenos, he putenos, he caenos, he vidgicadarenos, he subsaenos, he pahaleanos, asset allocation FoFs, he caenos, he bateanos, he maenos, he yaenos, he pundenos, he vibhinaenos asset classes, he maenos, he nevationos, he cuteanos, he herenos. He jesseanos, he kirenos, he equitianos, he direnos, he odenos, he sonaenos, he inanos, he punsenos, he caenos, he ptabuntacaenos, he bajadenos, he kienos, he stitianos, he coenos, he dianenos, he maenos, he ducteanos, he hoyanos, he inanos asset classes, he caenos, he anopatenos, he budulteanos, he duhateanos, he herenos. He tacianos, he cumenos, he hoinos, he odenos, he didernanos, he behatedanos, he milanos, he sucnos. He ubaenos, he cholteanos, he herenos commodity FoFs, he parenos, he yaenos, he pundenos, he yaenos ETFs, he castodenos, he pudenos, he commoditienos, he maenos, he nevationos, he cuteanos, he herenos. He jesseanos, he sonaenos, he yaenos, he chadienos, he yaenos, he pundenos, he onenos, he nevashkoinos, he caenos, he lianos, he opiuctenos, he hoteanos, he herenos, he joinos, he commoditienos, he bajadenos, he maenos, he diversificationenos, he cutnaenos, he chahateanos, he herenos. He pidenos, he hamateanos, he pastenos, he herenos single strategy FoFs, he yaenos, he pundenos, he unyaenos, he punsenos, he maenos, he nevationos, he cuteanos, he herenos, he joinos, he vishationos, he darnitianos, he caenos, he cuteanos, he herenos, he jesseanos, he kilenos, he ienos, he yaenos, he didhienos, he yanienos. He yaenos, he pundenos, he mukioenos, he dupenos, he seanos, he kisienos, he akenos, he luxioenos, he coinos, he dianenos, he meanos, he ducacarenos, he cudteanos, he herenos. He odd anos, he acitianos, he meanos, he herinos sector-specific FoFs, he yanos, he pundanos, he kissianos, he wishationos, he udiogenos, he yarinos, he sanctidanos, he pudanos, he hoteanos, he herinos. He jesseanos, he podiogikianos, he yainos, he swasteranos, he savainos, he isseanos, he nevashicanos, he upneanos, he pusandidanos, he sanctidanos, he meanos, he gahatainos, he nevashanos, he cudanos, he suctanos, he hainos, he odanos, he usenos, he sanctidanos, he kianos, he didhianos, he kainos, he labhanos, he uthainos, he suctanos, he herinos. He tainos, he colanos, he malacadanos, he innanos, he punsanos, he kianos, he vividtanos, he humeanos, he behatadanos, he potapolianos, he banananos, he meanos, he mudadanos, he cutianos, he herinos. He odanos, he yahanos, he sumajnaanos, he bhidanos, he jaturianos, he herinos, he kilanos, he humeanos, he upneanos, he luxioanos, he kaenos, he anosadanos, he conanos, he pundanos, he choneanos. He ubanos, he humanos, he batanos, he cadeganos, he nevashanos, he stananos, he kaenos, he adhadanos, he putanos, he pundanos, he opanos, he kaenos, he vibhinaranos, he ptacatoinos, he kianos, he subsayanos, he pahalayanos, domestic FoFs, he yanianos, he cadeluanos, he pundanos, he opanos, he puntsanos. He yaenos, he pudanos, he kissianos, he akanos, he dashanos, he kaenos, he mutualanos, he pundanos, he meanos, he nevashanos, he cutanos, he hainos, he udaharanos, he kaenos, he liranos. He bhatianos, he mutualanos, he pundanos, he escaenos, he mucasadanos, he hotaenos, he herinos, he kilanos, he apanos, he dashanos, he kianos, he stitianos, he kaenos, he paidaenos, he uthainos, he succaenos. He dusteanos, he herinos, international FoFs. He jainos, he globalanos, he diversificationanos, he yanianos, he vishwapadanos, he meanos, he nevashanos, he cutnaeanos, he kaenos, he liganos, he vidatianos, he bajadoinos, he meanos, he stitanos, he mutualanos, he pundoinos, he meanos, he nevashanos, he cutanos, he hainos, he isseanos, he apcaenos, he potapolianos, he meanos, he vividtaenos, he atianos, he hainos, he odanos. He cumanos, he hotaenos, he herinos. He ubanos, he humanos, he nevashanos, he kaenos, he adhadanos, he pudanos, he batanos, he cudanos, he akanos, he pumucanos, he viculpanos, he herinos ETF-based FoFs, he yanianos, he egiapanos, he adhadatanos, he pundanos, he opanos, he punsanos, he yanos, he seedhaenos, he egiapanos, he meanos, he nevashanos, he cutanos, he herinos. He giscaenos, he cateanos, he kianos, he jatudatanos, he nahianos, he partianos, he odanos, he innanos, he tucanos, he bohutanos, he hoinos, he jatianos, he herinos. He agaeanos, he barhataenos, he herinos, he ptabundhananos, he suntachnaenos, he kaenos, he badaenos, he meanos multi-manager FoFs, he yanianos, he multianos, he managadanos, he pundanos, he opanos, he puntsanos. He yaenos, he uligulaganos, he pundanos, he ptabundacoinos, he kaenos, he sathanos, he milicadanos, he kamenos, he cutaenos, he herinos, he escaenos, he paidaenos, he yahenos, he herinos, he kirinos, he koinos, he pelaiaenos, he jainos, he suctaenos, he herinos. He kyakianos, he apanos, he akanos, he hidanos, he ptabundacanos, he kianos, he bajayanos, he kayanos, he ptabundacoinos, he kianos, he visheshagyataenos, he karenos, he labhanos, he leanos, he dahaenos, he hotaenos, he herinos. He pidanos, he herinos, fettered FoFs, he yanianos, he bundhaenos, he pundanos, he cavalanos, he usianos, he kaenos, he pundanos, he meanos, he nevashanos, he cudanos, he suctaenos, he herinos, he jainos, he innanos, he pundoinos, he coinos, he ptabundhitaenos, he cutianos, he herinos. He wahianos, unfettered FoFs, he yanianos, he impetuddanos, he puntsanos, he innanos, he pudanos, he koyanos, he ptatibundhanos, he nahianos, he hotaenos, he yanos, he kissianos, he bhianos, he kaenos, he pundanos, he meanos, he nevashanos, he cutanos, he suctaenos, he herinos, he jisseanos, he viculpanos, he udhicanos, he dahataenos, he herenos. He taenos, he inanos, he subhienos. He koinos, he sumajhakadenos, he apenos, he beatadenos, he niraenos, he laenos, he suctaenos, he herenos, he kirinos, he conenos, he sainos, he pundenos, he luxurenos, he audenos, he sahishrotaenos, he kaenos, he anotupenos, he herenos. He ubenos, he humenos, he batenos, he cutaenos, he herenos, he kuchenos, he mucurenos, he jocamainos, he kienos. He joinos, he mutualenos, he puntsenos, he seanos, he joreanos, he hoinos, he suctaenos, he herenos, he subseanos, he pahaleanos. He exapasenos, he datioinos, he escaenos, he mutalabenos, he herenos, he kirenos, he mutualenos, he puntsenos, he ptabuntanenos, he sholcanos, he lateanos, he herenos. He giseanos, he vianos, yenopatenos, he kahainos, he jataenos, he herenos, he audenos, he casenos, he batenos, he yahenos, he herenos, he kirenos, he pundenos, he openos, he puntsenos, he carenos, he vianos, he yenopatenos, he amtadenos, he parenos, he udhicanos, he hotaenos, he herenos, he ismeanos, he cayenos, he puntsenos, he shamalenos, he hotaenos, he herenos. He audenos, he hudenos, he pundenos, he carenos, he upnaenos, he alleganos, he vianos, he hotaenos, he herenos, he taenos, he escaenos, he mutalabenos, he yahenos, he henos, he kirinos, he apkianos, he kamaienos, he carenos, he akenos, he barthaenos, he hisaenos, he ptabuntanenos, he sholcanos, he maenos, he chalaenos, he jataenos, he herenos. He doustaenos, he barthaenos, he herenos, he overdiversification enos, he carenos, he harenos, he diversification enos, he caenos, he caenos, he paideanos, he herenos, he jaseanos, he cumenos, he cutnaenos, he lakenenos, he agadenos, he bahutenos, he jadaenos, he maenos, he nevacenos, he cutenos, he liaenos, he jaenos. He taenos, he yahenos, he nuxandiacanos, he bheanos, he hoenos, he suctaenos, he herenos, he isseanos hindi he naenos, he cavalenos, he lactaenos, he barhatianos, he herenos, he bulkianos, he bheanos, he jatianos, he herenos, he audenos, he subseanos, he ehamenos, he batenos. He bahutenos, he udhicanos, he maenos, he nevacenos, he cutneanos, he seanos, he diternanos, he bheanos, he cumenos, he hoinos, he suctaenos, he herenos, he taenos, he sahienos, he mataenos, he maenos, he diversificationenos, he jatudienos, he herenos. He untaenos, he maenos, he akenos, he audenos, he mahitvaporaenos, he batenos, he herenos, he lekenos, he openos, he flexibilitienos, he pundenos, he menagedaenos, he caenos, he dalenos, he bahutenos, he ehamenos, he hotaenos, he herenos. He casacadenos, he pundenos, he openos, he puntsenos, he caenos, he ptadarshanenos, he maenos, he humeanos, he oncaenos, he nirioinos, he padenos, he bahutenos, he udhicanos, he nidpadenos, he dahanaenos, he partaenos, he herenos. He audenos, he humeanos, he koienos, he bheanos, he niantarenos, he nahienos, he hotaenos, he kirinos, he veanos, he cubenos, he conenos, he pundenos, he chunegeanos, he escaenos, he mutalabenos, he herenos, he kirenos, he yedienos, he bajadenos, he maenos, he tegianos, he yainos, he mundienos, he atienos, he herenos. He taenos, he humeanos, he toduntaenos, he budlavenos, he cutneanos, he caenos, he nahienos, he miltaenos, he esseanos, he maenos, he yahenos, he bheanos, he dianenos, he maenos, he ducnaenos, he jatudienos, he herenos. Now, let's take a closer look at the taxation rules for FoFs, or funds of funds. These rules are quite important because they can significantly impact the overall returns and compliance considerations for these investment structures. Essentially, FoFs are subject to specific tax regulations that differ from direct investments in individual assets. One key point to remember is that the taxation often depends on the structure of the fund and the jurisdictions involved. For instance, some countries may tax the FoF at the fund level, while others might pass the tax obligations through to the investors. This means that investors need to be aware of how income, gains, and distributions are taxed at each stage. Another critical aspect is the potential for double taxation, which can occur if both the fund and the investors are taxed on the same income. To mitigate this, many jurisdictions have specific rules or relief measures in place. Overall, understanding these taxation rules is crucial because they influence investment decisions, fund structuring, and ultimately, the net returns for investors. Connecting this to our broader theme, it highlights how regulatory and tax considerations are integral parts of managing alternative investments effectively. Now, let's look at the taxation on long-term capital gains, or LTCG, for different types of funds. For equity-oriented funds of funds, LTCG is taxed at 12.5%, which is quite straightforward. When it comes to non-equity funds of funds, the same 12.5% rate applies, but only if the investments are held for more than 24 months. For international funds of funds, the gains are now taxed at the same 12.5% rate, but again, only after a holding period of 24 months. This means that for both domestic and international equity or hybrid FoFs, the key is holding for at least 2 years to benefit from the LTCG rate of 12.5%. Switching gears to short-term capital gains, or SDCG, the rules are a bit different. For equity-oriented FoFs, SDCG is taxed at 15%, but for non-equity FoFs, the tax rate depends on the investor's individual income tax slab, so it varies based on your overall income. Now, moving on to other important tax changes introduced in the Union Budget 2024. They've introduced a new Section 50AA, which reclassifies certain non-equity funds, including some FoFs, for tax purposes. This impacts how gains are taxed and signals a shift in how these funds are viewed. Additionally, international FoFs now require a 24-month holding period to qualify for the LTCG tax rate of 12.5%. These rules will come into effect from April 1, 2025, so investors should plan accordingly. Finally, hybrid FoFs that have more than 35% but less than 65% equity also fall under the LTCG 12.5% tax rate, provided they're held for at least 24 months. Overall, these changes emphasize the importance of holding period and fund classification in planning your investments efficiently.